I think most of us were a bunch of naive farm boys, you know, that didn't know what to expect.
And did you feel any fear?
No. When you're 19 years old, you know, you can conquer the world.
Because you were drafted with the same group of guys, you were in the same training, same boat. You ended up in the same platoon, I imagine, with some of these guys.
Same company, yeah. Some of them are same platoon, and you know, all of us basically in the same company. Growing up, I rarely saw a colored person, other than Native Americans. You know, but then you get in the Army and you're thrown in with all these different nationalities and stuff, you know, and you know, you realize that, you know, they're not really any different than we are, you know. I mean, they bleed red too, you know.
Yes.
It's
When you got to Nam, do you remember some of your first experiences?
first firefight or action. We were moving from point A to point B through the jungle area to an area that we were supposed to set up for the night, lager for the night. And just before dusk, we were ambushed. There weren't any injuries. Some guys said they figured that the Viet Cong had prematurely got trigger happy or whatever, you know. They'd hit their ambush before they were set up for it, really. So, but that was our first actual firefight, you know.
What was that like for you?
That was scary, especially when it was getting dark, and you think, you know, there was bullets flying out there, you know. And you know, we fired our mortars into the wood line where the ambush came from, and so I suppose, and you know, by the time it was good and dark, everything was all over with. And the next morning, they sent a squad or two squads out that checked the area, and they did find one body out there. You know, it kind of gives you this feeling, okay, you know, we can handle it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, we worked together, and you know, you knew what your job was. You did your job. Everybody did their job. You know, and I think that was a big factor, that you feel safe because you know you're doing your job, and you know that this guy's doing his job to protect you, and you know he knows you're protecting him by doing your job.
Could you tell us about this painting that is special to you?
This is the Battle of Stuepfert, also known as the Battle of LZ Gold. LZ stands for Landing Zone, and it was called Landing Zone Gold. On March 19th, 1967, and when they landed, the first flight of choppers landed okay. Second flight, they encountered a lot of resistance. A chopper was shot down, and that's kind of what this represents in the picture, was the choppers that were lost. And then on the 20th, the infantry companies, they kind of swept the area around the perimeter and didn't really find anything to be concerned about. And at this time, we were probably about 5 miles away in the jungle, doing our thing. About 6 o'clock in the morning on the 21st, the North Vietnamese, I think it was the 2nd 272nd Regiment, plus Viet Cong, had a mass attack on this fire base. And this painting is kind of depictive of all the different aspects of the battle. The F-105s that were flying sorties, dropping bombs and things, and the Huey gunships that were in support of it, the artillery pieces. Oriel Blitzer using his jammed M16 as a club. There's the flag, broken flag from the Viet Cong to signify their defeat. There's a Viet Cong with RPG firing in. There's one that's being blown apart by a Claymore mine. And here's some soldiers here. One of them is Mark Rowan from Wisconsin, now deceased. He was part of, instrumental in the accuracy of the painting. And this here would be my outfit that came to the rescue. It took us about 3 hours to get through the jungle to get there. But we came through, you know, up to that point, other than the stench of the cordite smoke and all this, you know, I didn't see a lot of activity. But when we started to move towards the wood line, the ground came alive. It just came alive, and they all started to run towards the wood line. And it's about an hour and a half later, I guess it was all over with. And we policed up 647 bodies, which had to be taken care of. So they dug a couple big trenches, you know, put them in the trenches and covered them up.
Those were all
So-
Viet Cong?
Yeah. Viet Cong and North Vietnamese regulars. Which, you know, and I've been asked, well, did it bother you to pick up those bodies, you know, and throw them in the trench? And no. At the time, it's just like if a storm went through, you go out in the yard and you pick up branches to clean up the yard. You know, that's your mentality, you know, because you're thinking about survival. And you survived, you had to clean up the mess. But looking back at it, you know, that's a horrendous thing.
Yes. Would you say that the biggest wounds of war are spiritual?
Yeah, probably. You know, I mean, you're taught not to grow up, not to kill. You know, that's your belief. And then when you get in the military, they teach you to kill. I had a hard time accepting the fact that, you know, I don't know if I can kill somebody, you know. And platoon sergeant in basic, he says, don't worry about it. He says, when that guy's looking down his gun barrel at you, you're going to do what's right. You know, you want to survive, so you're going to kill him.
Yes.
And that's basically how it turns out. You know, you don't plan to do it, but when the time is there, you want to survive, and it's a matter of survival.
What was it like to come home? You'd adjusted from the world of the rural farm life to the world of being in combat and being in the military. And then what was it like to leave that world where there was danger, but also a sense of camaraderie and security with your squad members?
That was a big adjustment. I think that was a bigger adjustment coming home than it did, you know, going into the military, because of the fact that, you know, you were in Vietnam, and 36 hours later you were just walking the streets as a civilian. You know, in my case, because I was discharged when I got back to the States. And, you know, you kind of, what do you do? You know, you're thinking, well, it's over with, and what do I do? You know, so, I mean, when I got home, you know, my parents and relatives, they asked questions and stuff for a couple of weeks, and then after that, it just kind of faded away, and you just don't talk about it anymore, because it's not a good thing to talk about, you know.
That was your take on things, or
Yeah.
were there things you never shared because you didn't think they could handle it?
Oh, yeah.
Have you shared them ever since?
No. Probably won't.
So in a way, a part of you you feel you kind of had to lock a part of you away when you came back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if things just get, just get put back, and you just go about your daily life and kind of forget about it, although you don't forget.